As Zeus continued to guide mortals and nurture harmony between the earth and the heavens, he noticed another quiet wonder emerging: the first stories. Around fires in shaded groves and beside streams, mortals began to share tales of their lives, of the forces they felt in nature, and of the mysteries of the world around them. These stories were gentle, unpolished, and full of curiosity, yet they carried the seeds of legend. Zeus observed from a hilltop as a small group of villagers gathered in the evening, recounting the day's events. They spoke of the rivers that flowed steadily, of winds that carried seeds and scents, and the soft illumination of stars that guided them home. Each story reflected their observations, their wonder, and their attempts to make sense of the world. Zeus extended his spark subtly, allowing his light to accentuate the connections they sensed, helping the tales flow smoothly, echoing the patterns of nature and the rhythms of life. The minor spirits lingered nearby, enchanted by this gentle emergence of narrative. Nymphs floated beside streams, their presence reflected in the water as the villagers told their tales. Forest spirits drifted among the trees, listening to the soft murmur of voices that wove human experiences into the natural world. Zeus realized that stories were another thread in the intricate web of life, a way to transmit understanding, curiosity, and respect for the rhythms of the earth. Through careful observation, Zeus began to understand the importance of these stories. They nurtured cooperation, inspired curiosity, and reinforced the lessons that mortals learn from the land, the elements, and one another. A story about a river's gentle flow could teach children to respect water. A tale about a guiding star could help travelers find their way. These narratives were subtle teachers, and Zeus's spark illuminated their meaning without imposing, letting understanding grow naturally. He experimented quietly, enhancing the flow of stories by aligning them with natural rhythms. The crackle of a fire might coincide with a gentle breeze, carrying words across the group. The reflection of stars on a stream added a soft visual echo to the narrative. Even the rustle of leaves in the wind seemed to accentuate the lessons within the tales. Mortals felt the guidance of these stories, learning from experience, observation, and the quiet patterns of nature that Zeus nurtured. The Olympians observed this too, seeing the spark of creativity, imagination, and understanding that flowed from storytelling. They noted that influence could be subtle, indirect, and profoundly impactful. Zeus's quiet guidance allowed humans to craft their own myths while gently shaping their perception of the world, encouraging respect, cooperation, and curiosity. In this way, legends were born, not forced, but nurtured through patient observation and gentle illumination. Even the stars seemed to participate. Their soft glow mirrored the flow of narratives, highlighting connections and emphasizing lessons hidden within everyday experiences. Rivers reflected the constellations as they traced patterns above, while the wind carried whispers of stories across valleys and hills. Nature itself became a canvas upon which mortals could paint their tales, supported by Zeus's quiet spark. As night deepened, Zeus rested beneath the heavens, sensing the interplay of life, stories, and the rhythms of the world. Mortals shared experiences, learned from one another, and gradually wove the first myths. The spark within Zeus illuminated possibilities, nurtured understanding, and encouraged the flow of imagination. Stories became a gentle link between mortals, nature, and the divine, a quiet, enduring form of guidance. And so, beneath the soft starlight, beside flowing rivers, and under the rustling leaves of forests, Zeus witnessed the birth of stories. His spark moved subtly through the world, shaping understanding, encouraging curiosity, and nurturing the first myths without imposition. In this gentle orchestration, he discovered another dimension of leadership, the ability to inspire, teach, and connect through patience, care, and the quiet illumination of the paths mortals would follow. As stories began to take shape among mortals, Zeus realized that these tales could also serve as gentle guides to understanding the natural world. Rivers, winds, forests, and the stars were no longer just silent companions. They became characters in the lessons mortals shared, weaving wisdom into everyday life. Zeus's spark moved quietly among them, illuminating connections and fostering a deep, intuitive understanding of nature. He wandered through a quiet valley where villagers worked alongside flowing streams. Children paused to observe the water, noticing how it carried leaves and stones downstream. Farmers sensed how the wind shifted the soil and seeds. Zeus extended his spark subtly, highlighting patterns without forcing attention. He did not command their eyes or thoughts, but his light brushed softly across their surroundings, enhancing their awareness of the natural rhythms around them. The minor spirits lingered nearby, fascinated by this new form of guidance. Nymphs drifted beside rivers, reflecting sunlight on the water to help mortals notice subtle currents. Forest spirits swirled through trees, letting leaves catch glimmers of light that drew attention to the changing seasons. Every element of nature became a gentle teacher, with Zeus's spark as the quiet thread connecting observation, understanding, and life. Through these moments, Zeus observed how mortals learn naturally. A child might discover that moving a stone redirected water to a dry patch. A farmer might notice how planting seeds in harmony with the wind or sunlight led to stronger growth. Even animals seemed to respond, moving more confidently through their habitats as humans and nature worked together. Each small act of learning was reinforced by the spark, fostering cooperation, patience, and curiosity. Zeus also saw the role of storytelling in these lessons. Tales of rivers that whispered, winds that danced, or stars that guided travelers encouraged mortals to pay attention and observe. The stories were not rigid instructions, but soft, imaginative reminders of the natural patterns around them. By weaving lessons into narratives, Zeus helped mortals internalize knowledge without pressure, nurturing understanding in a way that was both gentle and enduring. Even the Olympians observed the effect of these subtle teachings. They saw that influence could be expressed through observation, inspiration, and gentle illumination rather than direct intervention. By encouraging mortals to notice, learn, and understand, Zeus cultivated wisdom that would grow organically, ensuring that humans respected the land, the elements, and each other. As night approached, Zeus rested beneath the starlit sky, sensing the harmony forming across valleys and hills. Rivers shimmered under the moonlight, leaves rustled softly in the wind, and mortals moved with quiet awareness through the world he nurtured. The spark within him pulsed gently, a quiet guide linking observation, storytelling, and understanding. Nature itself became a classroom, teaching patience, curiosity, and the subtle rhythms of life. Through these calm interventions, Zeus discovered a profound truth. The most enduring guidance comes not through force, but through careful illumination, encouragement, and nurturing the natural flow of learning. By connecting mortals to the patterns of the world, he helped them grow in wisdom, cooperation, and harmony with all living things. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the gentle glow of stars, Zeus continued to foster lessons in nature. His spark moved quietly through the world, highlighting connections, supporting learning, and guiding mortals to observe, understand, and respect the rhythms of life. In this serene orchestration, he discovered the power of gentle influence, patient teaching, and quiet guidance, the spark that could shape hearts, minds, and the world itself. As mortals grew in understanding of the natural world, Zeus noticed another quiet need emerging, the need for cooperation. Villages thrived when people worked together, shared resources, and respected one another, yet moments of misunderstanding occasionally arose. Zeus extended his spark subtly, offering guidance not through force or correction, but through gentle illumination of possibilities that encouraged harmony and understanding. He wandered along a hill where farmers gathered their harvest. Some carried baskets too heavy to manage alone, while others hesitated, unsure where to place their crops. Zeus's spark moved softly among them, highlighting paths, nudging attention, and inspiring quiet cooperation. One farmer noticed a child helping a neighbor, a basket shifted slightly, and a subtle exchange of smiles occurred. The spark did not command these actions. It simply illuminated choices and inspired gentle collaboration. The minor spirits watched closely, fascinated by this form of guidance. Nymphs lingered near wells, letting sunlight reflect off the water to draw attention to shared resources. Forest spirits drifted through orchards and meadows, rustling leaves to signal the most accessible paths. Every small, subtle intervention encouraged mortals to work together naturally, learning that cooperation was not imposed, but discovered through observation, attention, and care. Zeus observed the ripple effects of these quiet lessons. Communities that shared water, tools, and food grew stronger, more resilient, and more harmonious. Families worked side by side in fields, children played in organized games, and elders guided younger generations with patience. Mortals began to understand that success and happiness were amplified when kindness, patience, and cooperation guided their actions. Stories played a vital role in reinforcing these lessons. Tales of villagers helping one another, of animals moving in coordinated patterns, or of rivers and winds working together inspired reflection and understanding. Mortals internalized these narratives, recognizing the value of collaboration without feeling compelled or coerced. Zeus's spark, subtle and gentle, supported this natural learning, fostering a quiet culture of mutual respect and shared effort. Even the Olympians observed and learned from Zeus's methods. They noted that influence could be most effective when it encouraged intrinsic understanding rather than enforced compliance. By illuminating the choices and possibilities available to mortals, Zeus helped them discover the rewards of cooperation, patience, and empathy. This quiet guidance allowed communities to flourish while preserving the freedom and dignity of individual action. As evening fell, Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the harmony that emerged from small acts of kindness and collaboration. Streams reflected the moonlight, leaves whispered gentle encouragement, and mortals moved through their tasks with quiet understanding. His spark pulsed softly, a steady light that highlighted the value of patience, observation, and cooperative action. Through these gentle interventions, Zeus realized that leadership and guidance were most profound when applied with care, insight, and respect for the natural flow of life. Cooperation, like rivers, winds, and seasons, required alignment, patience, and subtle guidance to flourish. By nurturing this understanding, he helped mortals build stronger communities, deeper bonds, and a harmonious connection with the world around them. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside glimmering streams, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus continued to illuminate the lessons of cooperation. His spark guided mortals subtly, fostering harmony, empathy, and shared effort. In this calm orchestration, he discovered that true leadership is expressed not through command or force, but through quiet encouragement, gentle insight, and the patient cultivation of understanding among all living things. As mortals embraced cooperation and understanding, Zeus noticed another quiet joy emerging: celebrations. These were gentle gatherings, times when communities came together to honor the rhythms of life, the cycles of nature, and the accomplishments of the day. Zeus realized that his spark could enhance these moments, illuminating gratitude, connection, and harmony without imposing or controlling. He wandered through a sunlit village where families had gathered near a field of ripening crops. Children played near flowing streams, while adults shared food and laughter. Zeus extended his spark softly, weaving it through the air, touching the ripples of water and the glow of sunlight. The spark did not direct the actions of mortals. It simply highlighted the warmth of shared moments, drawing attention to acts of kindness, cooperation, and joy. The minor spirits observed with fascination. Nymphs drifted along the edges of streams, reflecting sunlight to make the water shimmer, while forest spirits rustled leaves gently, adding a soft soundtrack to the festivities. Every natural element seemed to participate in the celebration, guided subtly by Zeus's spark, enhancing the sense of connection and wonder without ever overwhelming the scene. Zeus also noticed the importance of ritual and tradition in these gatherings. Villagers sang songs of gratitude, told stories of the day's achievements, and observed small customs that honored the land, the seasons, and the creatures around them. His spark highlighted the significance of these moments, helping mortals recognize the bonds they shared with each other and with nature. In doing so, he nurtured understanding, reflection, and quiet joy. The Olympians, watching from their lofty perches, began to appreciate the role of celebration in the growth of mortal communities. They realized that influence and guidance could be expressed through fostering awareness, gratitude, and shared experience, rather than through command or force. Zeus's gentle illumination reinforced the lesson that harmony and happiness could be cultivated through recognition, reflection, and participation in communal life. Even the elements joined in the quiet festivities. Streams rippled in gentle patterns, leaves swayed in soft rhythm, and a light breeze carried the laughter and voices across fields and hills. Mortals felt a natural resonance with the world around them, sensing unity and balance in their shared experience. The spark did not control. It simply encouraged reflection and connection, fostering gratitude for both the small and large blessings of life. As evening fell, Zeus rested beneath the stars, observing the glow of lanterns, the shimmer of streams, and the gentle movements of villagers winding down. The spark pulsed softly, a quiet companion to the celebrations, highlighting the beauty of shared experience and the deep connections between mortals, nature, and the rhythms of life. Through these gentle moments, Zeus realized that guiding mortals was not only about balance, cooperation, and understanding, but also about nurturing joy and connection. Celebrations reminded humans of their place in the world, their bonds with one another, and the importance of gratitude for the cycles and rhythms that shaped their lives. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus continued to illuminate the first celebrations. His spark moved quietly through the world, nurturing community, gratitude, and harmony. In this serene orchestration, he discovered that the deepest influence often comes not from power or command, but from the gentle encouragement of joy, connection, and shared reflection. As mortals celebrated and learned to cooperate, Zeus noticed another subtle thread emerging, the growth of wisdom. He observed how individuals reflected on their actions, remembered lessons from the past, and considered the needs of others. Wisdom, he realized, was not just knowledge, but the gentle understanding of how life's rhythms, choices, and connections interwove. His spark could illuminate these patterns, guiding mortals to insight without taking away their freedom to learn naturally. He wandered through a quiet grove where elders shared stories with attentive children. The tales spoke of rivers, winds, stars, and seasons, weaving lessons of patience, observation, and understanding into every word. Zeus extended his spark gently, highlighting connections between actions and consequences. A child noticed how helping a neighbor eased labor. A farmer saw how planting in harmony with seasonal cycles improved crops. These realizations blossomed slowly, nurtured by quiet attention and reflection rather than force. The minor spirits hovered nearby, fascinated by the unfolding wisdom. Nymphs drifted along streams, letting reflection shimmer in ways that drew attention to subtle patterns. Forest spirits rustled leaves to provide rhythm and emphasis as stories unfolded. Every element of nature became a gentle teacher, with Zeus's spark linking observation, reflection, and understanding, helping mortals see the bigger picture of life and their place within it. Zeus noticed how stories reinforced these lessons. Narratives of courage, kindness, patience, and foresight encouraged reflection, guiding mortals to make thoughtful choices. The spark illuminated connections, showing consequences without dictating decisions. Mortals learned to weigh actions, consider others, and anticipate outcomes, wisdom that grew naturally through experience, observation, and quiet guidance. Even the Olympians recognized the significance of nurturing wisdom. They understood that guidance was most effective when it encouraged introspection, reflection, and self-discovery. Zeus's spark moved subtly, allowing mortals to discover insight for themselves while gently reinforcing the rhythms of nature, cooperation, and understanding they had already begun to learn. In the evenings, Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the quiet pulse of thought and reflection flowing through valleys and villages. Streams mirrored constellations, leaves rustled softly, and mortals moved with greater awareness, considering not just their own needs but the broader harmony of life around them. His spark pulsed gently, linking reflection, observation, and wisdom into a subtle guidance that shaped the hearts and minds of mortals. Through these gentle interventions, Zeus realized that true wisdom grows best when it is cultivated patiently, encouraged subtly, and allowed to emerge naturally. Knowledge alone is not enough. It must be paired with understanding, foresight, and empathy. By fostering these qualities, he nurtured not only the growth of individuals but the flourishing of entire communities. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus continued to nurture wisdom. His spark illuminated connections, encouraged reflection, and guided mortals to understanding. In this calm orchestration, he discovered that the deepest influence comes not from control or command, but from gentle guidance, patient teaching, and the quiet fostering of insight, a legacy that would shape the world for generations to come. As mortals grew in wisdom, understanding, and cooperation, Zeus began to notice a new and gentle spark within them, the desire to create. He observed hands shaping objects with care, voices blending into song, and minds weaving patterns of beauty into daily life. Art, music, and creative expression emerged naturally, reflecting the rhythms of the world and the lessons mortals had learned. Zeus realized that his spark could encourage this gentle emergence without imposing form or structure. He wandered through a quiet village where children gathered by a stream, tracing patterns in the sand and experimenting with melodies they hummed softly. Adults painted symbols on pottery or carved simple designs into wood. Zeus extended his spark subtly, letting its gentle glow highlight connections, symmetry, and rhythm. The spark did not control their actions but illuminated possibilities, encouraging attention, care, and enjoyment in the act of creation. The minor spirits observed closely, fascinated by these first expressions of art. Nymphs floated near flowing water, reflecting sunlight in patterns that complemented the shapes created by mortals. Forest spirits swirled among trees, rustling leaves in gentle rhythm to accompany early music. Every element of nature became a quiet collaborator in these expressions, reinforcing creativity through subtle cues and harmonious movement. Zeus noticed how art deepened the connections between mortals, nature, and the rhythms of life. A song could echo the flow of a river, a carving could capture the curve of a hill, and a dance could mirror the sway of trees in a wind. Creative expression became a reflection of observation, understanding, and gratitude for the world around them. His spark nurtured these moments, fostering confidence, patience, and a sense of harmony with the environment. Stories and rituals continued to reinforce creativity. Tales of the seasons, the stars, and the cycles of life inspired music, painting, and movement. Mortals discovered joy in expression, learning that creativity could honor nature, celebrate cooperation, and communicate wisdom. Zeus's spark moved gently through these acts, guiding subtle alignment, balance, and appreciation without dictating the outcome. Even the Olympians observed these moments with quiet admiration. They recognized that influence could be expressed through encouragement of creativity, patience, and subtle illumination. By nurturing art and expression, Zeus helped mortals reflect the beauty of the world, celebrate life, and deepen their understanding of rhythm, balance, and harmony. As night fell, Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the quiet pulse of creativity flowing through villages, meadows, and forests. Streams shimmered with reflected light, leaves rustled in rhythmic whispers, and mortals hummed, painted, or moved in gentle celebration of life. His spark pulsed softly, a companion to imagination, linking observation, understanding, and artistic expression in a quiet, nurturing guidance. Through these calm interventions, Zeus discovered that creativity, like wisdom, cooperation, and harmony, flourishes best when nurtured gently. By fostering the first echoes of art and music, he encouraged mortals to explore, observe, and celebrate the world around them. His subtle influence allowed beauty to emerge naturally, creating a lasting rhythm of expression that intertwined with life itself. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus continued to guide the first sparks of creativity. His spark illuminated possibility, nurtured artistic growth, and encouraged expression in harmony with nature and life. In this serene orchestration, he realized that gentle guidance could inspire beauty, joy, and connection, leaving an enduring mark upon the hearts and minds of mortals. As mortals expressed creativity through art, music, and movement, Zeus noticed a natural desire to capture the patterns of life around them. The changing seasons, once subtle and observed in silence, now inspired expression, reflection, and gentle ritual. He understood that his spark could help mortals connect more deeply with these rhythms, encouraging awareness and gratitude without interference. He wandered through a quiet grove where villagers had gathered to mark the approach of a new season. Leaves had begun to turn in gentle shades, streams reflected the light differently, and the air carried a hint of change. Children painted simple shapes in clay, adults arranged seasonal offerings of fruits and grains, and soft songs filled the air. Zeus extended his spark, letting it trace the movements of wind, water, and sunlight, illuminating subtle patterns that connected the seasons to mortal life. The minor spirits drifted nearby, delighted by these expressions. Nymphs reflected light on rippling streams to enhance the colors of the environment, while forest spirits swirled among trees, letting leaves fall in gentle arcs that mirrored the rhythm of change. Every natural element seemed to join the celebration, guided subtly by Zeus's spark, creating a quiet symphony of awareness, harmony, and reflection. Through these acts, mortals learned to observe and honor the subtle transformations of the world around them. The falling of leaves reminded them of patience and the cycles of life. The shifting winds and flowing streams became teachers of adaptability and movement. Songs and art capture the essence of these rhythms, embedding knowledge and understanding into gentle ritual and creative expression. Zeus observed how this reflection strengthened bonds between humans and nature. Villagers shared stories, songs, and artwork, celebrating not only the cycles of the seasons, but also the cooperation and understanding that had grown within their communities. Through observation, participation, and reflection, they deepened their connection to the natural world and to one another. Even the Olympians noted these gentle teachings. They saw that influence could be expressed through encouragement of awareness, subtle illumination of connections, and the fostering of gratitude. Zeus's spark helped mortals notice patterns, reflect on change, and celebrate life's cycles, reinforcing lessons of patience, balance, and harmony. As night fell, Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the quiet pulse of seasonal reflection flowing through forests, rivers, and villages. Leaves rustled softly in the wind, streams shimmer with light, and mortals moved thoughtfully through their celebrations. His spark pulsed gently, linking observation, creativity, and understanding into a quiet, enduring guidance that honored the rhythms of life. Through these subtle interventions, Zeus realized that understanding the seasons, like wisdom, cooperation, and creativity, grows best when nurtured gently. Mortals flourished as they learned to observe, reflect, and honor the cycles of life, guided not by force, but by the soft illumination of insight and care. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus continued to guide mortals in reflecting the seasons. His spark illuminated rhythms, encouraged observation, and nurtured harmony with the natural world. In this serene orchestration, he discovered that true guidance comes not through power, but through patient teaching, quiet encouragement, and the gentle fostering of awareness and appreciation for the beauty of life itself. As mortals reflected on the seasons through art, ritual, and observation, Zeus noticed another subtle awakening, the understanding of time and cycles. Days flowed into nights, months passed, and the seasons repeated with quiet rhythm. Mortals began to recognize patterns in growth, change, and life itself. Zeus realized that his spark could gently illuminate these connections, helping humans grasp the subtle interplay of past, present, and future without imposing structure or control. He wandered through a peaceful valley where villagers rose with the sun and settled as night approached. Children learned to anticipate the daily movements of the sun, farmers planned planting and harvest with care, and elders shared stories of the changes they had seen over the years. Zeus extended his spark softly, letting it trace patterns in the sky, in flowing streams, and in the shifting light. The spark highlighted connections between cycles of nature and the unfolding of life, helping mortals perceive the rhythm of time as a gentle, continuous flow. The minor spirits lingered nearby, observing the quiet lessons of the day. Nymphs reflected the sun's path in rippling water, forest spirits rustled leaves to mark the passage of hours, and the breeze carried the soft whisper of passing days. Every element of nature participated subtly, guided by Zeus's spark, reinforcing awareness of the cycles that shaped mortal life. Through these observations, mortals began to anticipate change, plan thoughtfully, and understand the consequences of actions within broader patterns. A child might notice how the river swelled after rain, an elder might predict the best time to plant crops, and a storyteller could weave these patterns into tales that educated and inspired. Wisdom, patience, and foresight grew naturally from these experiences, nurtured by Zeus's quiet illumination. Even the Olympians observed and learned from these subtle teachings. They realized that influence could be most effective when it fostered reflection, awareness, and self-discovery. Zeus's spark helped mortals perceive connections and cycles without dictating their choices, allowing understanding to grow organically and deeply. As night approached, Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the quiet pulse of time flowing through valleys, streams, and villages. The sun dipped gently beyond the horizon. The moon rose softly, and mortals moved with awareness of the cycles surrounding them. His spark pulsed subtly, linking observation, reflection, and understanding into a quiet guidance that shaped hearts, minds, and communities. Through these gentle interventions, Zeus discovered that understanding time and cycles, like wisdom, creativity, and cooperation, flourishes best when nurtured patiently. Mortals learn to navigate life with care, to observe change thoughtfully, and to honor the interconnectedness of all living things. By illuminating these patterns subtly, Zeus encouraged harmony, foresight, and respect for the world around them. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus continued to guide mortals in understanding time and cycles. His spark moved quietly, fostering awareness, reflection, and connection. In this serene orchestration, he discovered that true guidance is expressed through patience, subtle illumination, and the gentle nurturing of insight into the rhythms that connect all life. As mortals learned to observe the cycles of nature and the flow of time, Zeus noticed another subtle lesson emerging: the need for balance. Life moved in gentle rhythms of activity and rest, work and reflection. He understood that guiding mortals to recognize and honor these rhythms could help them live in harmony with the world and themselves. His spark could illuminate this understanding, encouraging awareness without imposing rules or pressure. He wandered through a quiet village where the day's work was winding down. Farmers carefully stored tools, children paused from play, and families gathered for meals and reflection. Zeus extended his spark softly, letting it trace the ebb and flow of movement and stillness. The spark did not force any action. Instead, it highlighted the natural rhythm of the day, helping mortals recognize the value of both effort and rest, and the gentle balance that sustains life. The minor spirits observed closely. Nymphs drifted beside streams, reflecting the calm of still water and the gentle movement of currents. Forest spirits rustled leaves in soft patterns, echoing the subtle flow between action and pause. Birds perched quietly, then took flight, demonstrating the harmony of movement and rest. Every element of nature mirrored this balance, guided subtly by Zeus's spark, offering mortals a living example of harmony in their daily lives. Through these gentle interventions, mortals began to sense the importance of pacing themselves, observing the world, and reflecting on their actions. A child resting under a tree noticed the song of the wind. A farmer paused to appreciate the rhythm of seasons, and a storyteller wove lessons of balance into tales shared by the fireside. Understanding grew naturally, without instruction, as observation, reflection, and participation revealed the rewards of equilibrium. Even the Olympians watched, recognizing that guidance could be most profound when it encouraged insight rather than dictated behavior. Zeus's spark nurtured awareness of balance, helping mortals harmonize work, rest, creativity, and reflection. By fostering this understanding subtly, he strengthened communities, deepened individual well-being, and encouraged harmony with the natural rhythms of life. As night fell, Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the quiet pulse of balance flowing through villages, fields, and forests. Streams rippled gently, leaves swayed with the wind, and mortals moved thoughtfully between activity and pause. His spark pulsed softly, a guiding light that highlighted the beauty and necessity of equilibrium in all aspects of life. Through these calm observations, Zeus discovered that true harmony is cultivated patiently, with awareness and gentle guidance. Mortals who understood the balance between action and rest, work and reflection, could live more thoughtfully, connect more deeply with one another, and flourish in accordance with the rhythms of nature. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus continued to guide mortals in discovering the balance of life. His spark illuminated subtle rhythms, encouraged reflection, and nurtured harmony. In this serene orchestration, he realized that the deepest guidance comes not from force, but from gentle encouragement, careful observation, and the quiet nurturing of awareness in every moment. As mortals learned the rhythms of nature, the cycles of time, and the balance between work and rest, Zeus noticed another quiet awakening: the emergence of moral understanding. Humans began to sense what was kind, fair, and just, even without formal instruction. Zeus realized that his spark could nurture these seeds of virtue, encouraging reflection and choice rather than enforcing rules. He wandered through a peaceful village where children played together, sometimes sharing, sometimes hesitating. Adults guided one another gently, offering help without expectation, and neighbors collaborated quietly on common tasks. Zeus extended his spark softly, illuminating moments where kindness, honesty, and thoughtfulness naturally arose. The spark did not demand behavior. It highlighted opportunities for virtue, letting mortals discover the rewards of ethical action on their own. The minor spirits observed with quiet fascination. Nymphs drifted along streams, reflecting sunlight on rippling water to highlight gentle actions, while forest spirits rustled leaves when mortals performed acts of consideration. Even animals seemed to sense the subtle guidance, their interactions reflecting patience, care, and understanding. Every element of nature reinforced the quiet lessons of virtue, guided gently by Zeus's spark. Through observation, mortals began to notice the impact of their choices. A child offering a small gift saw the happiness it brought, a farmer helping a neighbor strengthened trust within the community, and stories shared around the evening fire celebrated honesty, empathy, and courage. These lessons were absorbed naturally, embedded in experience rather than imposed, growing slowly as humans learned the subtle power of moral understanding. Even the Olympians watched, recognizing the value of guidance that fosters inner reflection. Zeus's spark encouraged mortals to make thoughtful choices, to consider consequences, and to act with care. By nurturing virtue gently, he cultivated communities where kindness, fairness, and integrity flowed naturally, creating harmony both within and among mortals. As night fell, Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the quiet pulse of ethical awareness spreading through valleys and villages. Streams shimmered with reflected light, leaves rustled softly in the wind, and mortals moved thoughtfully, guided by observation, reflection, and the quiet illumination of their own moral understanding. His spark pulsed gently, connecting awareness, choice, and virtue in subtle guidance that shaped hearts and communities alike. Through these gentle interventions, Zeus discovered that morality, like wisdom and balance, is best nurtured through patience, subtle encouragement, and reflection. Mortals flourished when they could recognize virtue themselves, experiencing the natural rewards of kindness, honesty, and thoughtful action. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus continued to guide the seeds of virtue among mortals. His spark illuminated choices, encouraged reflection, and nurtured ethical understanding. In this serene orchestration, he realized that the deepest guidance comes not from force or decree, but from quiet encouragement, careful observation, and the gentle fostering of moral insight in every life. As mortals grew in wisdom, creativity, cooperation, and virtue, Zeus took a quiet moment to reflect on his own nature. Throughout the ages, he had guided rivers, seasons, stars, communities, and hearts, always with subtlety and care. These powers, though unseen and gentle, shaped the world profoundly. Mortals often sensed the results, but never the hand that guided them. In this quiet influence, Zeus discovered the true strength of his hidden powers. He wandered among hills and forests, observing the world as it moved with natural rhythm. Rivers flowed steadily, leaves rustled softly, and villagers lived with awareness, reflection, and understanding. Every small pattern, every gentle act of guidance was a manifestation of his spark. He had learned that true power is not always visible. Sometimes it is the quiet presence that nurtures growth, harmony, and life. The minor spirits lingered nearby, aware of the calm authority in his presence. Nymphs floated along streams, reflecting light that had been touched by Zeus's quiet influence. Forest spirits swirled in leaves and shadows, honoring the invisible currents that shaped the world. Even the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, echoing the pulse of his spark. Everything responded to his subtle guidance, though mortals remained unaware of the divine force behind the harmony. Zeus reflected on the lessons he'd imparted through patience, illumination, and gentle encouragement. Seasons had unfolded smoothly, creativity had flourished, wisdom had grown, and communities had learned cooperation and virtue. All of this had been achieved without fanfare, conflict, or force. His powers were hidden not because he lacked strength, but because the world needed growth, choice, and discovery to flourish naturally. Even the Olympians observed this quiet mastery with admiration. They saw that influence can be most profound when it is subtle, patient, and attuned to the rhythms of life. Zeus's hidden powers were expressed in guidance, observation, and encouragement rather than in spectacle or decree. In shaping the world invisibly, he had nurtured understanding, harmony, and beauty in every corner of existence. As night deepened, Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the pulse of his hidden spark moving through streams, forests, hills, and villages. Mortals slept peacefully, unaware of the guiding light that had shaped their understanding, creativity, and virtue. His spark pulsed gently, a quiet testament to the strength of invisible influence, patience, and the subtle shaping of life. Through these reflections, Zeus understood that the greatest powers are not always shown in thunder or lightning, but in quiet guidance, careful observation, and patient nurturing. Mortals flourished because they were allowed to discover, choose, and grow. The hidden spark within him had shaped a world of harmony, understanding, and gentle wonder. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus continued to reflect on the hidden nature of his powers. His spark moved quietly through the world, shaping life subtly, nurturing growth, and leaving an unseen but enduring imprint. In this serene understanding, he realized that true strength lies not in display, but in quiet guidance, gentle illumination, and the patience to nurture life in its natural course. As the world settled into a quiet rhythm, Zeus took a final pause to observe the harmony he had nurtured. Rivers flowed with gentle consistency, winds carried whispers through forests, and stars shimmered softly in the night sky. Mortals slept, wrapped in comfort and peace, unaware of the many subtle ways their lives had been guided. Zeus's spark pulsed quietly, a reflection of the balance, wisdom, and beauty he had fostered across time. He wandered through valleys and hills, noting the soft glow of lanterns in villages, the gentle reflection of moonlight on streams, and the slow sway of trees in the night breeze. Every detail seemed touched by his quiet guidance, every life connected through the rhythms he had nurtured. His hidden powers, exercised patiently and gently, had allowed the world to grow in harmony without force or interference. The minor spirits lingered nearby, sharing in the calm satisfaction of the moment. Nymphs floated above rippling waters, reflecting the stars' gentle light. Forest spirits swirled among leaves, carrying whispers of songs and stories. Even the creatures of the earth moved with serene grace, attuned to the rhythms of day and night, work and rest, joy and reflection. Every corner of the world seemed to breathe in quiet harmony. Zeus reflected on the journey he had quietly guided. Through rivers, winds, stars, creativity, stories, cooperation, wisdom, and virtue, mortals had learned to navigate life thoughtfully, to appreciate the beauty around them, and to live in harmony with one another. His spark had moved subtly, offering illumination without command, nurturing understanding without force, and guiding the world toward balance and serenity. Even the Olympians watched in quiet admiration. They saw that influence could be most profound when it was patient, subtle, and attuned to the natural rhythms of life. Zeus's guidance had shaped not just the physical world, but the hearts and minds of mortals, encouraging curiosity, reflection, compassion, and joy. His powers, hidden yet enduring, had created a lasting legacy of harmony and gentle influence. As the night deepened, Zeus rested beneath the soft glow of stars, sensing the pulse of life flowing in quiet unison. Streams shimmered, leaves whispered, and mortals dreamed peacefully. His spark pulsed gently, connecting every aspect of the world he had guided, from the smallest pebble to the highest constellation, from the simplest act of kindness to the quiet flow of seasons. In this serene moment, Zeus realized that true power lies not in spectacle or force, but in patience, observation, and gentle guidance. By shaping the world subtly and nurturing growth without intrusion, he had allowed life to flourish naturally. The harmony of the earth, the heavens, and the hearts of mortals reflected the quiet strength of his hidden powers. And so, beneath drifting clouds, beside flowing rivers, and under the tranquil glow of stars, Zeus rested. The world was at peace, cradled by the rhythms, wisdom, and beauty he had nurtured. His spark moved quietly through all things, a gentle and enduring presence. In this final chapter, the story of Zeus's hidden powers reached its calm conclusion, leaving a world of balance, wonder, and serenity, a testament to the quiet, patient, and profound influence of a guiding hand that chose to illuminate rather than control. Long before humans walked upon the earth, the world existed in a quiet, endless expanse. The sky stretched far and wide, a soft dome of silver and pale blue, touching mountains that rose like sleeping guardians. Rivers wound through valleys in gentle arcs, carrying the songs of distant forests, and oceans swayed slowly, reflecting the pale light of stars yet unborn. In this serene and hushed world, there was a presence, Zeus. At this stage, Zeus was not the king of gods. He was a being of subtle promise, his power still hidden beneath layers of calm. He wandered through the heavens and the earth with careful steps, observing, learning, and feeling the quiet pulse of life all around him. Every whisper of wind, every ripple on a river, every flicker of light through the clouds carried lessons. Zeus paid attention. He absorbed them slowly, letting each impression sink into his mind before moving on. The sky, wide and endless, fascinated him. He watched as clouds drifted in endless patterns, soft shapes rolling upon each other without hurry. Stars, though faint at first, began to pierce the darkness of night. He traced their paths with his gaze, noting the way some shone steadily, while others flickered as if in conversation with the universe. In these patterns, he sensed a hidden order, a rhythm of existence that both calmed and intrigued him. Even as he moved quietly, other beings noticed him. Nymphs hid in forest glades and springs, peeking from behind trees and rocks. Gentle spirits of the wind swirled softly around him, curious but unafraid. The earth itself seemed to lean toward him. Flowers turned slightly in his direction, their petals catching the light of unseen suns. Streams slowed as he approached, as though waiting for him to trace his hands across the flowing water. Everything responded, not with fear, but with acknowledgement, as if recognizing the patience and quiet strength in him. Within Zeus, power stirred like soft embers. Not yet lightning, not yet storms, but gentle currents of energy that moved with thought and care. He discovered that a simple motion of his hand could guide the wind along the trees, bending branches in ways that spoke without force. A glance at a stream could alter its course slightly, sending ripples that spread across the water's surface. He realized early that true power was not about spectacle. It was about awareness, patience, and understanding the rhythm of the world. Days passed in gentle succession. He wandered over hills and valleys, along rivers and through groves, watching life unfold in the quietest details. He saw how clouds gathered above mountains, how rain fed the roots of ancient trees, how insects traced patterns over petals. Each moment contained lessons, small and subtle, shaping the understanding that power without patience was meaningless. He discovered that stillness could carry more influence than force, and that careful observation often revealed more than swift action. At night, he would lie on hillsides, gazing at the emerging stars. Their light was soft and unwavering, yet each spark seemed to hold a story of its own. Zeus felt a resonance with these distant lights, as if they mirrored the hidden potential within him. His mind wandered along constellations, tracing patterns that seemed to hum quietly with possibility. He sensed that the powers he carried were not merely his own. They were connected to the skies, the mountains, the rivers, and the unseen threads that held the world together. Even in solitude, Zeus was never lonely. The gentle rustle of leaves, the soft murmur of water, and the distant calls of birds provided companionship. He noticed the small spirits of the forests and the hidden creatures of the mountains, all moving in harmony with the earth. Sometimes, they would approach cautiously, drawn to his quiet strength. He did not chase them away, nor did he command them. Instead, he allowed them to exist in mutual understanding, knowing that influence is more profound when it flows naturally rather than imposed. In these early days, Zeus also began to feel the stirrings of curiosity about the other beings that might exist. While he had yet to meet the Titans or the Olympians in their full glory, he sensed the presence of forces around him, some vast and slow, others delicate and fleeting. He felt no fear. He understood that power grows in harmony with the world, not in opposition to it. His own abilities, still hidden, thrummed softly within him, awaiting the right time to emerge fully. Seasons passed with gentle rhythm. Snow dusted the mountaintops, melting to feed the rivers below. Flowers bloomed and faded, and the wind shifted with quiet precision. Zeus learned from each change, noticing how energy moved, how life responded, and how subtle gestures could shape events without effort or aggression. He began to imagine the world not only as it was, but as it could be, guided by gentle understanding rather than force. And so the story of Zeus began not with thunder or battle, but with quiet observation, patient learning, and the soft awakening of abilities that would one day shape the heavens. He understood even then that true power is a careful, deliberate dance with the universe, a harmony of thought, awareness, and gentle influence. In this calm and patient beginning, The foundations of his hidden powers were laid, waiting for the moment when they would rise fully, not in haste, but with deliberate grace. As the days in the early world unfolded, Zeus became increasingly aware of the subtle rhythms that surrounded him. Each mountain peak, each winding river, and each rustling forest seemed to carry its own quiet message. He walked with care, allowing the soft earth beneath his feet to guide him. Every step felt deliberate, every glance attentive. The world moved gently around him, and in turn he moved with it, attuned to its hidden currents. He discovered that the wind was not simply air in motion. It carried whispers from distant places, messages from unseen spirits, and echoes of life he had yet to encounter. By listening carefully, Zeus could sense the moods of the skies. A shift in cloud formations hinted at the coming of rain, while a gentle eddy in the wind suggested the approach of a quiet evening. These subtle signs fascinated him. They were small, yet profound, teaching him patience and observation, qualities that would later define his power. The forests also spoke to him in ways he could feel rather than hear. Trees bent with the passing of unseen creatures, leaves shimmered with the light of hidden suns, and the soft crackle of undergrowth revealed tiny lives moving unseen. Zeus learned to read these signs as though they were letters written in a secret language. Every creature, every plant, every ripple of life contributed to a broader understanding, a map of energy flowing through the world. As he walked near rivers, Zeus noticed how the water reflected not only light, but intention. A gentle touch could guide the flow without disturbing the natural path. Stones could be shifted ever so slightly, creating ripples that danced across the surface. In these moments, he realized that influence could be subtle, almost imperceptible, yet deeply transformative. His hidden powers were growing in quiet ways, shaped by gentle awareness rather than force. Zeus began to feel a pull toward places untouched by larger beings, where time itself seemed slower. In shaded valleys and secluded groves, he discovered small spirits and minor gods, beings whose presence was delicate and soft. They moved around him without hesitation, as though they recognized that he carried no threat. Zeus observed their patterns, learning how life thrived in quiet harmony, how influence could be applied with care, and how balance was maintained naturally in the world. Occasionally, he experimented with his abilities. A whisper of wind could send petals spiraling gracefully to the earth. A faint gesture could coax a stream to curve around a rock instead of over it. These small acts were not demonstrations of strength, but exercises in subtle guidance. Each experiment brought insight. Zeus began to understand that power was not only about effect, but about intention, patience, and timing. Even the smallest shift could ripple outward, influencing life gently yet persistently. Night was a time for reflection. Zeus would lie beneath the vast canopy of stars, noting their patterns and tracing their paths with his gaze. The constellations whispered stories of distant worlds, of beings that existed in quiet grandeur, and of energies that flowed across the heavens. He felt a kinship with the stars, a gentle reminder that even the vastest forces could move with grace and subtlety. His curiosity about the larger cosmos deepened, and he sensed that his hidden powers were only a small part of a much broader tapestry. Through his quiet explorations, Zeus began to recognize the presence of larger forces nearby. Though he had yet to meet the Titans or the other Olympians, he felt their slow, steady energy in the mountains and in the clouds above. These presences were immense, yet not threatening. They moved in rhythms that matched the deep pulse of the world. Zeus realized that his own emerging powers would need to complement these forces, working in harmony rather than opposition. Patience, he understood, would be the key to understanding their role. Zeus also noticed the way life seemed to adjust naturally around him. Birds shifted their flight paths, small animals paused to observe, and even the grass appeared to bend in subtle acknowledgement. It was as though the world itself recognized a quiet authority in him, not through fear, but through awareness and respect. This realization filled him with calm confidence. Power, he understood, could exist quietly and still be profound. As days blended into nights and seasons passed slowly, Zeus continued his gentle studies. Each new sunrise offered soft lessons, how clouds drifted in layers, how shadows fell across valleys, how waters flowed to meet the earth. Each evening, the stars reminded him of the vastness yet to explore. In this rhythm, he found not only knowledge, but a sense of peace. The hidden currents of his abilities were becoming stronger, more certain, yet they remained gentle, patient, and deliberate. In the hush of forests, the quiet of rivers, and the soft glow of the skies, Zeus began to shape his understanding of influence, intention, and care. These were not dramatic powers, not sudden bursts of force, but gentle currents that could guide, protect, and nurture. And as he rested beneath the stars, he felt the first stirrings of a profound realization. The hidden powers within him were not meant for mere display. They were meant to harmonize with the world, to move with it, and to grow quietly until the moment came for their full revelation. As the days and nights passed in quiet rhythm, Zeus's awareness of the world deepened. Each morning, soft light spilled over the mountains, casting gentle shadows across valleys where rivers traced silver lines through the earth. He wandered slowly, his senses attuned to every rustle, every glimmer, every faint ripple of movement. In this calm exploration, he began to notice forces beyond the wind, water, and earth, presences that moved with a quiet majesty, unseen yet undeniably real. The first encounters came as whispers in the forests. Shadows shifted among the trees, and small, delicate forms flitted in and out of view. Nymphs and spirits, guardians of springs and glades, observed him with curiosity. They were cautious yet unafraid, as if recognizing the gentle steadiness in his presence. Zeus did not approach them hastily. Instead, he paused, lowered his gaze, and allowed them to reveal themselves at their own pace. In this patience, he discovered the subtle art of trust, a foundational element of his growing understanding of influence. He began to sense the rhythms of these minor gods, each moving in harmony with their domains. The nymphs of streams guided the waters, keeping them clear and steady. The spirits of the forests tended to the growth of trees and plants, ensuring that sunlight and soil nourished life evenly. Even the quiet winds seemed to carry their intentions, stirring leaves, delivering scents, and shaping the air in a gentle, deliberate dance. Zeus observed this harmony closely, learning that every being, no matter how small, contributed to the balance of the world. In these early encounters, Zeus also noticed that power could be quiet. The minor gods wielded abilities that were subtle, almost invisible, yet profoundly effective. Streams changed direction without force, leaves fell without disruption, and the creatures of the forests moved with calm assurance. Zeus felt a deep resonance with these gentle actions. He understood that strength was not measured by dominance, but by the capacity to guide, nurture, and maintain balance. Occasionally, Zeus would test his own powers alongside theirs. A slight gesture of his hand could encourage a tree to bend gracefully in the wind, or a soft thought could help a stream curve around an obstacle. He was careful, deliberate, ensuring that his influence enhanced the natural flow rather than disturbing it. Each success brought quiet satisfaction. He was beginning to understand the first principles of harmony: observation, patience, and intention. Over time, Zeus's encounters grew more profound. On higher slopes and in remote valleys, he began to feel the presence of beings greater than the minor spirits. Their energy was slower, more deliberate, like the deep currents of the oceans or the long shadows of mountains. He sensed the Titans, ancient and immense, moving in rhythms that mirror the earth itself. There was no threat in their presence, only a recognition of vast patient power. Zeus felt a quiet stirring within himself, a subtle echo of these greater forces that hinted at his own potential to rise among them one day. He realized that his powers, though gentle, were unique. While the Titans moved with deliberate force, and the minor spirits guided their realms subtly, his abilities bridged these forms of influence. He could affect both the subtle flow of a stream and the currents of the air above the mountains. His presence carried a soft authority, a gentle insistence that life could respond to without fear. This understanding settled in him like a quiet promise, a prelude to the greater responsibilities he would one day bear. Evenings became a time of reflection. Zeus would sit beneath the stars, listening to the soft chorus of nocturnal creatures and the distant hum of forests settling into rest. The sky stretched endlessly above him, constellations tracing patterns that seemed to speak in a language of light. He traced their shapes with his gaze, imagining stories that flowed between the stars and the earth. He felt a connection to the cosmos, a quiet assurance that his powers were part of a much larger design, one that required patience, awareness, and gentle guidance. In these moments, Zeus began to sense his own destiny more clearly. His powers were not for spectacle, nor for sudden displays of might. They were meant to harmonize with the world, to move with its natural rhythms, and to cultivate balance wherever needed. The lessons he learned from the minor gods and from observing the greater forces around him were slowly weaving a foundation for the wisdom he would one day bring to the heavens. Through quiet observation, gentle interaction, and patient practice, Zeus was becoming more attuned to the delicate dance of influence and balance. He understood that true power could exist without domination. It could guide, nurture, and shape the world subtly, yet profoundly. And as the nights passed and the constellations moved across the sky, he began to dream, not of thunder or conquest, but of understanding, of harmony, and of a quiet mastery that could one day extend over both gods and mortals alike. The world around Zeus moved in quiet rhythms, and he moved with it, learning to feel its hidden currents. Each morning, sunlight brushed the peaks of mountains and filtered softly through forest canopies. The rivers sang in gentle murmurs, carrying reflections of the sky in their winding paths. In these moments of stillness, Zeus began to notice something new, an inner sensation, a quiet flicker of energy that pulsed within him, responding to the world around him. It began subtly, like a small glow beneath his skin. At first, he could sense it only in the calmest moments, when he rested beside a stream or under a tall oak tree. The energy was gentle, not overwhelming, and it seemed to hum in harmony with the currents of wind and water. Zeus felt that it was a part of him, a hidden aspect of his being waiting to emerge. He did not rush it, nor did he attempt to force it. He simply observed, letting the sensation grow and shift naturally. One day, as he wandered near a quiet hilltop, the wind carried the faint scent of rain. Clouds gathered softly, drifting in layers across the sky. The flicker within him responded, a delicate spark that seemed to mirror the clouds above. Curious, Zeus raised a hand and felt the warmth of energy rise slowly through his fingers. A small spark leaped gently into the air, not bright or frightening, but luminous in its quiet way. It hovered for a moment, then faded, leaving behind a sense of wonder and calm. Zeus repeated this practice day by day, exploring the sensation of this new ability. He found that the spark could respond to his intentions. When he thought of guiding it gently, it swirled in patterns of light that traced the air around him. When he focused on observation rather than display, the spark flowed more naturally, as if dancing to the rhythm of his own awareness. He began to realize that this was not a force to be wielded recklessly, but a gentle companion that could extend the quiet influence he had already learned through wind, water, and earth. The minor spirits of the forest noticed the flickering light. Some watched from behind trees, their eyes wide with fascination. Others drifted closer, drawn by the calm energy that flowed from Zeus. They did not flee. They did not fear. They recognized the harmony in his movements, the patience in his gestures, and the gentle care with which he explored this new power. Their presence reassured him, reinforcing the understanding that true influence could be profound without needing to impose itself. As days passed, Zeus discovered more ways to interact with this subtle spark. He could guide it along the edges of a stream, making water shimmer softly under its touch. He could trace it through the leaves of trees, leaving trails of faint luminescence that danced in harmony with the breeze. He learned to merge it with the rhythms of nature rather than oppose them. In this careful practice, he discovered the first lessons of restraint, an awareness that power, no matter how extraordinary, was most meaningful when applied with patience and care. Nightfall became a time for reflection. Zeus would lie on the soft grass beneath the vast canopy of stars, feeling the quiet glow of the spark within him. The constellations stretched across the sky like threads of silver, their patterns guiding his thoughts and offering gentle lessons in timing and rhythm. He imagined the spark as a bridge between his hidden self and the vast universe, a gentle reminder that even the smallest flicker of energy could resonate with the world in meaningful ways. In this period of quiet discovery, Zeus also began to sense the connection between his spark and the larger forces around him. The clouds, the wind, the rivers, they all seemed to respond to its presence in subtle ways. A soft spark of light could encourage a cloud to drift in a particular direction, or nudge a breeze to carry the scent of flowers across a valley. Even the smallest gesture had effects that rippled gently outward, reinforcing the harmony between him and the world. Though the power was small and gentle, Zeus felt the first stirrings of responsibility. He realized that this spark, this first hint of lightning, was not meant for display or destruction. It was a quiet gift, a tool for guidance and balance, an extension of the awareness he had been cultivating for so long. The spark could illuminate paths, encourage growth, and shape the world softly, in ways that required patience and attention rather than force. Through these quiet experiments, Zeus felt a deep sense of connection to both the earth and the heavens. His power, though subtle, was beginning to take shape. It moved in harmony with the wind, the water, and the living world around him, forming a gentle thread that linked his inner awareness with the wider universe. In the hush of forests, beside the murmuring streams, and beneath the silent constellations, Zeus nurtured this spark, knowing that it would grow in time, guided by patience, care, and quiet understanding. And so, the first light of Zeus's hidden powers glimmered gently in the world, not with force nor with thunder, but as a quiet illumination, a subtle whisper of the influence he could one day wield. In the calm of his discovery, he understood that real mastery comes not from dominance, but from harmony, intention, and gentle guidance. In this soft awakening, the foundation of his future reign over the heavens was quietly laid, like the first delicate thread in a tapestry yet to be completed. With a quiet spark of lightning now awakening within him, Zeus began to explore how it intertwined with the natural world. The mornings were soft, with light spilling gently over the hills, and he wandered slowly, noticing the subtleties of the land. The wind brushed against his face, carrying scents of distant forests and fresh streams. Every element seemed to respond to his presence in a delicate, unspoken dialogue. Zeus discovered that the spark could mingle with other forces. A gentle gesture could guide a breeze, nudging it along the valleys, and with a soft thought, the wind could lift leaves into playful spirals that shimmered in the sunlight. Water, too, responded subtly. Streams that had always flowed steadily began to twist in gentle curves when Zeus's spark danced above them, creating patterns of light that reflected across the surface. It was as if nature itself acknowledged his growing understanding and allowed him to learn its language. He noticed that combining his spark with the elements required attention. Too much focus in the wrong direction could create disruption, but a calm, deliberate touch could enhance the world harmony. Zeus practiced patiently, moving the spark over clouds drifting in the sky. A soft flicker of light could make the edges glow faintly, illuminating patterns in the mist. Rain began to fall gently in distant valleys, not as a storm, but as a quiet blessing to the land, and he understood that even small gestures of energy could carry far-reaching effects when guided with care. The minor spirits observed him closely during these explorations. Forest nymphs, river spirits, and the shy wind creatures seemed fascinated by the soft interplay of spark and element. Some approached with curiosity, hovering near leaves and streams, while others remained hidden, peeking from behind trees and rocks. Zeus welcomed their presence without command. Their attention reminded him that influence was not only about action, but about observation and mutual understanding. In these moments, Zeus began to sense the patterns that connected the elements. Water flowed in response to wind, light reflected across surfaces with predictable grace, and clouds shifted in response to gentle currents. His spark acted as a bridge between these forces, encouraging cooperation rather than dominance. He realized that his power was not meant to override nature, but to harmonize with it, to guide gently and subtly, shaping the world without force or haste. Evenings were filled with quiet reflection. Zeus would lie on soft grass under the stars, tracing their forms and imagining the threads of energy connecting sky, earth, and water. The spark within him pulsed gently in time with the slow rhythm of the universe. He thought of the rivers he had guided, the clouds he had touched, and the winds he had nudged along their paths. Each action, no matter how small, felt like a whisper of a greater story yet to unfold. One day, Zeus wandered to a quiet valley where mist hung low among the hills. He raised his hand, allowing the spark to drift upward. It danced along the moisture in the air, weaving luminous strands that glimmered faintly against the fading light. A soft breeze carried the scent of flowers across the valley, and tiny drops of dew caught the faint illumination, scattering it like a gentle, shimmering veil. Watching this, Zeus felt a profound sense of satisfaction, not from display, but from understanding, the realization that his influence could exist in harmony with life itself. In these quiet experiments, he learned the importance of intention. The spark, delicate and responsive, reflected his focus and patience. When he moved with calm awareness, the world responded in kind. When he rushed or forced action, the effects were uneven, fleeting, and less meaningful. Over time, he discovered that true mastery was not about the brilliance of the spark, but about the gentle guidance it offered, the ability to harmonize with existing currents rather than impose upon them. Zeus also began to notice subtle lessons in patience. Some clouds moved slowly, barely changing their shape over hours. Rivers could resist the soft nudges of his spark, flowing steadfastly in their chosen paths. Yet, with time, his gentle persistence encouraged subtle shifts, revealing that influence grows strongest not through haste, but through careful observation, repeated effort, and quiet alignment with natural rhythms. As days and nights passed, Zeus's connection with the elements strengthened. He felt a quiet satisfaction in his growing understanding. Lightning, wind, water, and light were no longer separate forces. They flowed together, responding to his touch with soft cooperation. His powers were still hidden, subtle, and non-threatening, yet they held the potential to shape the world in ways that required not force, but wisdom. And so, the spark within Zeus danced gently with the elements. In the hush of valleys, under the glow of stars, and along the soft currents of wind and water, he learned the delicate art of harmony. His growing abilities, quiet yet profound, were not meant for battle or spectacle. They were meant to guide, illuminate, and nurture, laying the foundation for the greater responsibilities he would one day carry as the guardian of the heavens. As the days passed and the spark of lightning danced gently in his hands, Zeus began to feel the presence of forces larger than the rivers, winds, and forests he had come to know. The Titans moved in distant mountains and across hidden valleys, ancient beings whose energy was slow, deliberate, and vast. They did not stir with haste, nor did they demand attention. Yet their presence was undeniable, like the deep pulse of the earth beneath his feet. Zeus approached them quietly, not with challenge or boldness, but with patience and curiosity. From afar, he observed their movements. One Titan traced a path along a high ridge, causing the clouds above to shift in subtle patterns. Another leaned over a river, guiding its flow with slow, deliberate gestures that shaped the landscape over days. Their actions were measured, steady, and effortless, yet carried a power that was undeniable. He realized that his spark, delicate though it was, existed in a different form of influence. With a Titan's strength reshaped the world in broad, sweeping motions, his energy moved softly, shaping currents, guiding light, and touching the smallest details. By watching them, Zeus began to understand that power could take many forms, some vast and visible, others quiet and hidden, yet both capable of shaping life profoundly. One evening, as twilight painted the mountains in muted shades of blue and violet, Zeus approached a Titan whose presence felt calm yet commanding. The Titan did not speak, but his slow movements altered the clouds and air around him. Zeus mirrored these gestures lightly, sending a faint glimmer of his spark along the edges of the clouds. The Titan noticed the soft illumination, and for a moment, the two energies met in harmony. There was no confrontation, only recognition, a silent acknowledgement of patience, care, and subtle influence. Through these encounters, Zeus learned lessons in humility. His powers, though promising, were not yet as vast as those of the Titans. The world was shaped slowly, deliberately, and he could not rush its rhythms. Attempting to force the spark to move faster or further disrupted the natural flow. By observing, waiting, and practicing quiet alignment, he discovered that real mastery came not from comparison or competition, but from understanding the timing and needs of the world itself. The minor spirits continued to accompany him, offering gentle encouragement. Nymphs drifted near streams, and flowers leaned toward him as he passed. They had grown accustomed to the quiet spark within him and in harmony with the surrounding currents. Their presence reminded Zeus that influence could exist in both grand and minute scales. Even the smallest ripple of light or movement carried meaning when guided with patience and care. Zeus began experimenting with integrating his spark alongside the broader forces of the Titans. A faint touch could encourage clouds to drift in patterns that complemented the slow shaping of mountains. A soft gesture could help rivers adjust subtly to the land shaped over centuries. He realized that his ability was not meant to compete with the Titan's strength, but to harmonize, adding finesse and subtle balance to the grand movements of nature. In quiet reflection beneath the starlit sky, Zeus considered what he had learned. The Titan's power was vast, deliberate, and enduring, while his own was delicate, adaptable, and responsive. Both forms were necessary, and both had value. Patience, observation, and quiet intention were the keys to ensuring that his spark could work in harmony with the larger forces around him. The world, he understood, did not demand dominance. It demanded awareness, respect, and care. In these early meetings, Zeus also felt a subtle confidence blooming within him. He understood that his hidden powers were not lesser. They were different. They moved in ways that could influence currents, light, and energy with precision. They could guide life, illuminate paths, and nurture balance in ways that even the Titans could not achieve with their deliberate, slow movements. He felt a quiet excitement, not of ambition, but of potential, a deep recognition that one day, his abilities could shape the world in gentle yet meaningful ways. Even as night fell and the stars shone faintly above, Zeus remained in quiet contemplation. The mountains, rivers, clouds, and forests had become his companions, each teaching him a lesson in rhythm, patience, and subtle influence. The Titans had shown him the breadth of power, and his spark had begun to teach him the depth. Together, these experiences formed a foundation for the understanding and mastery that he would carry forward, not with haste or force, but with calm certainty. And so, amidst the slow, deliberate presence of the Titans, Zeus learned the value of patience, observation, and quiet cooperation. His hidden powers, still gentle and luminous, were growing in harmony with the world, guided by the lessons of both the small and the vast. In this balance, he discovered the first truths of leadership, that true influence arises not from domination, but from understanding, alignment, and the careful guidance of subtle currents that connect all life. As time flowed gently, Zeus began to sense the presence of beings who moved with a lighter energy than the Titans, entities who lived closer to the sky, their essence shimmering with subtle warmth. These were the Olympians, emerging quietly from hidden realms, each carrying gifts and abilities that complemented the world's natural rhythms. They were not yet the well-known gods of legend, but their presence hinted at the balance and harmony that would later define Olympus. Zeus observed them from a distance, moving carefully among clouds, rivers, and forests. Each Olympian seemed connected to a particular domain, yet their movements were soft and deliberate rather than forceful. One shaped the patterns of morning mist across the valleys, while another guided the gentle flow of a mountain stream. Even without words, they demonstrated the careful interplay between intention and observation, a dance that captivated Zeus. He realized that his spark, the first flicker of lightning, could interact with these beings in subtle ways. A faint illumination could highlight the path of a drifting cloud, or a gentle touch could help a stream mirror the soft glow of dawn. Zeus felt a quiet thrill at this discovery, not of pride, but of understanding. He was beginning to see that his powers, though small and hidden, could harmonize with the energies of other divine beings, shaping the world gently yet meaningfully. The Olympians, in turn, noticed Zeus. Their curiosity was measured, their approach tentative yet respectful. They did not challenge him, nor did they demand his attention. Instead, they allowed their presence to flow naturally alongside his own quiet influence. In this coexistence, Zeus learned a new lesson. Power is not only about action, but also about perception, patience, and mutual recognition. Even the smallest spark can resonate when it finds harmony with the currents around it. One afternoon, as soft light spilled across a valley of blooming wildflowers, Zeus extended his spark toward a drifting cloud. The Olympian nearby mirrored his movement, guiding a faint breeze in tandem with his light. Together, the energy created patterns of illumination across the valley, weaving light and air into a delicate ballet. Zeus realized that collaboration, even in subtle forms, amplified the quiet influence of his powers. Harmony, not competition, was the key to shaping the world gently. In the evenings, Zeus often rested beneath the sky, tracing constellations with his gaze. He imagined the paths of the Olympians weaving through the heavens, their movements synchronized with the rhythms of the earth below. His spark pulsed softly in response, a reflection of the energy flowing between him and the world. In these contemplative moments, he understood that his role would not be to dominate but to guide, to illuminate, and to nurture balance wherever it was needed. The minor spirits continued to accompany him, their presence a gentle reminder of the importance of attentiveness. Flowers leaned toward him, streams shimmered under his light, and the soft rustle of leaves created a chorus that seemed to harmonize with his spark. Zeus began to appreciate the interconnectedness of all beings, from the tiniest nymph to the vast titans, from the quiet Olympians to the soft currents of wind and water. Each played a part in the slow, deliberate symphony of the world. Through these quiet days, Zeus honed his understanding of timing. A spark applied too quickly could disrupt, while one offered patiently could enhance the natural flow. He discovered that influence was most profound when applied in subtle alignment with existing energies. He began to experiment further, using his spark to trace patterns in clouds, to guide rivers over gentle curves, and to illuminate hidden groves under soft twilight. Each act reinforced the principle that true power is measured not by force but by harmony. Night after night, Zeus watched the Olympians move, their actions gentle and deliberate. He felt a growing connection to their rhythms, sensing how his spark could complement their movements without overshadowing them. It was a quiet partnership, a mutual understanding that even the smallest gestures could ripple outward, shaping the world softly yet meaningfully. And so Zeus's knowledge expanded. The Titans had taught him patience and restraint. The minor spirits had shown him the power of subtle guidance, and now the Olympians reveal the art of collaboration. His spark, once a solitary flicker, was becoming a conduit for gentle influence across the world. In the calm of these discoveries, Zeus realized that his hidden powers were not meant for display or force, but for creating balance, guiding life, and harmonizing with the divine currents that connected all things. As the days passed, Zeus became increasingly aware of the growing connections between the minor spirits, the Olympians, and the hidden currents of the world. He moved carefully through valleys, mountains, and rivers, observing the rhythms of life and learning to sense the needs of the land. Each gentle step, each soft gesture of his spark, taught him more about balance, harmony, and influence. In time, Zeus began to notice that other beings naturally looked to him, not with fear, but with quiet attention. The minor spirits lingered near streams he had guided, and nymphs of hidden groves seemed to lean toward his presence as he passed. Even the Olympians, moving through the air or across the distant hills, responded subtly to his guidance. Their paths seemed to align, clouds shifted with his quiet influence, and the smallest details of the world bent softly to meet the harmony he cultivated. This awareness brought with it the first stirrings of leadership. Zeus realized that his power was not about dominance, but about gently guiding the energies of the world and its inhabitants toward balance. When the wind carried a stray cloud into a valley, he nudged it softly with his spark, and the light reflected across the hills, bringing quiet illumination to the land below. When rivers flowed too quickly through narrow passes, he guided them gently along the curves of stones, creating a rhythm that nurtured the creatures dwelling in their banks. Through these small acts, Zeus discovered an essential truth. Leadership was not forceful, nor was it loud. True guidance was quiet, patient, and attentive. It was about understanding the needs of the world and helping them unfold naturally, without imposing upon them. By observing the minor spirits and Olympians, he learned that influence is most profound when it is subtle, unseen, and aligned with the natural currents of life. One morning, as the first light of day brushed the mountaintops, Zeus noticed an Olympian struggling to adjust a cloud drifting too low over a forest. With a soft gesture of his spark, he guided the cloud upward, letting sunlight filter gently through the branches below. The Olympian paused, sensing the guidance, and a faint smile appeared across their face, a quiet acknowledgement of harmony achieved without words or force. In that moment, Zeus understood that leadership could be expressed in the smallest, most delicate ways, yet still carry great impact. He began to experiment more intentionally, using his spark to orchestrate subtle interactions among the elements. A gentle breeze could lift petals across a meadow, guiding them towards streams that reflected their colors. A soft illumination could draw attention to hidden pathways, ensuring that creatures of the forest moved safely beneath the trees. Even the currents of rivers and clouds began to respond to his quiet guidance, forming patterns of light, movement, and rhythm that enhanced the balance of the world. In the evenings, Zeus would sit beneath the stars, tracing their shapes with his gaze and reflecting on the lessons of the day. The constellations seemed to whisper reminders of patience and timing, reinforcing the understanding that influence grows strongest when applied with awareness and care. He realized that true leadership requires the ability to see beyond immediate effects, to anticipate the gentle shifts and flows of life, and to guide them with thoughtfulness rather than haste. The minor spirits continued to follow his presence, and even the Olympians began to seek subtle alignment with his movements. Clouds drifted in patterns he could anticipate, streams curved as if expecting his touch, and the wind moved in harmony with the faint pulse of his spark. Zeus understood that these were not acts of control, but a mutual recognition of calm authority, a quiet understanding that his presence could help orchestrate balance without force. Through these gentle practices, Zeus's understanding of leadership deepened. He saw that a true leader does not demand attention, but inspires trust and cooperation through presence, patience, and careful guidance. His spark, once a simple flicker of light, had become a symbol of quiet influence, capable of touching the smallest corners of the world and resonating across vast distances. And so, in the hush of valleys, beneath the soft glow of morning and evening skies, Zeus began to embrace his role as a quiet leader, not through thunder or command, but through patience, observation, and delicate guidance. He began to shape the subtle currents of life. His powers, his spark, and his understanding of the world were growing in harmony, laying the foundation for the greater responsibilities that awaited him among the gods. As Zeus settled into his growing role as a quiet leader, he began to notice how the elements themselves seemed to respond to subtle coordination. Streams, clouds, wind, and light moved independently, yet their paths intertwined in intricate, delicate patterns. Some flowed smoothly, others meandered unpredictably. Zeus realized that his spark could serve as a gentle guide, helping these currents synchronize in harmony without disrupting their natural rhythm. He wandered through a valley where the morning mist hung softly over a gentle stream. The water flowed steadily, reflecting the first rays of sunlight. A soft breeze lifted leaves and petals, scattering them across the surface. Zeus extended his spark, allowing it to trace along the water's edge. The illumination danced gently, touching the curve of the stream, nudging the breeze to follow a complementary path. Instantly, the scene transformed, not violently, but as if the world itself had taken a deep, contented breath. Nearby, an Olympian observed from a cloud above. They had been guiding a small gust of wind, attempting to carry pollen across the valley. Zeus's subtle intervention enhanced the movement, allowing the wind to blend with the spark of light, scattering the petals in a pattern both beautiful and purposeful. The Olympians sensed the collaboration, pausing briefly in quiet acknowledgement. No words were exchanged, there was no need. The gentle coordination spoke for itself, teaching Zeus the profound impact of careful, shared influence. Throughout the day, Zeus experimented further, weaving his spark through rivers, hills, and the drifting clouds overhead. Each movement was deliberate, patient, and attuned to the natural rhythms around him. A cloud might drift slightly to one side, catching light in a way that illuminated a hidden grove below. A stream might curve gently around a moss-covered rock, providing safe passage for tiny creatures along its banks. Even the wind responded, carrying scents and gentle whispers across valleys and meadows. In these quiet moments, Zeus learned that coordination was not about control, but about enhancing what already existed. The world had its own balance, its own rhythm. His spark was not a force imposed upon it, but a delicate touch, helping the currents, the elements, and the minor spirits work in concert. Through observation, patience, and subtle guidance, he discovered that influence could ripple outward gently, yet profoundly, shaping life with care rather than coercion. Evenings were a time for reflection. Zeus rested beneath the sky, the spark within him pulsing softly, in harmony with the rhythms of the world. Stars traced patterns above, faintly illuminating the valleys and streams below. He could sense the threads connecting elements, minor spirits, and Olympians. His role, he realized, was to strengthen these connections, guiding them in ways that preserve harmony and encourage collaboration. Leadership, he understood, was not about being the loudest presence or imposing force. It was about helping life find its own natural balance. The minor spirits continued to accompany him, observing as he guided the elements. Nymphs of streams floated near him, leaves and petals leaned toward his touch, and soft gusts of wind played with the light of his spark. The Olympians, too, began to trust his guidance, following his subtle cues when coordinating clouds, wind, and water. Through these gentle interactions, Zeus was beginning to understand that the world harmony could be enhanced through quiet presence, attentive observation, and patient adjustment. Over time, he noticed that the effects of his guidance extended beyond the immediate environment. A small adjustment in a stream could carry water to distant groves, nourishing hidden plants. A gentle nudge of wind could carry seeds and pollen across valleys, encouraging life to bloom in previously unnoticed places. Even the faintest flicker of his spark could ripple across the land, touching elements in a way that felt seamless and natural. The world, he realized, thrived when influence was applied with awareness, care, and subtlety. In this period of gentle coordination, Zeus began to feel a quiet satisfaction unlike anything he had known before. The spark within him, once a small flicker of light, had become a tool for creating harmony, connecting the energies of the elements and the movements of the divine beings around him. He understood that true power was not measured by display or force, but by the capacity to shape life thoughtfully, nurturing balance and encouraging cooperation. And so, in the hush of valleys, along the gentle flow of rivers, and beneath the drifting clouds above, Zeus learned the art of guiding the world without imposing upon it. His spark moved with the elements in quiet coordination, helping rivers curve, clouds drift, and winds carry gentle whispers across the land. In these calm and deliberate movements, he was discovering the essence of leadership, influence, and subtle mastery, qualities that would define him long before the thunder of Olympus filled the skies. As Zeus's understanding of the world deepened, he began to notice subtle shifts in the skies above him. Clouds gathered slowly, their shapes drifting in soft patterns that hinted at hidden energy. Unlike the dramatic storms of legend, these were gentle, quiet beginnings, whispers of rain, light, and wind, moving with a rhythm all their own. Zeus felt a curiosity awaken within him, a desire to understand these natural events and the way they shape the world. He wandered to a quiet hilltop where the morning mist hovered over the valley below. The spark within him pulsed softly as he watched clouds merge and stretch, forming delicate layers of silver and gray. A faint breeze stirred, carrying the scent of distant forests. Zeus extended his spark toward the gathering clouds, not to command them, but to sense their movements and potential. The spark twined gently with the moisture, tracing its currents and revealing patterns that had previously gone unnoticed. Through patient observation, Zeus discovered that storms were not chaotic, but a slow, deliberate choreography of elements. Wind, water, light, and pressure moved together in quiet dialogue. His spark allowed him to sense the interactions, highlighting the paths where clouds might drift, where gentle rain might fall, or where a soft gust of wind could carry the moisture across a valley. By aligning with this rhythm, Zeus could guide the unfolding storm without forcing it, creating harmony where there had once been uncertainty. Nearby, an Olympian moved among the clouds, their hands shaping faint currents of wind. Zeus's spark interacted with theirs, weaving light along the edges of drifting clouds. Together, they encouraged the storm to follow a peaceful course, sprinkling rain in a gentle shower over the hills. The rivers below glistened under the soft droplets, and flowers lifted their petals, drinking in the nourishment without fear or disturbance. Zeus felt a quiet joy at this subtle cooperation, recognizing that even small interventions could have meaningful, positive effects. The minor spirits observed with fascination, their presence reflecting the calm energy around them. Nymphs hovered near springs and streams, and leaves drifted along the breeze, catching glimmers of Zeus's spark. The harmony of the storm, guided gently by his influence, reinforced his growing understanding. True mastery comes not from domination, but from alignment, attentiveness, and respect for natural rhythms. Zeus began experimenting carefully with timing and movement. A flicker of his spark could encourage clouds to drift higher, allowing sunlight to filter through and illuminate hidden valleys. A soft nudge could direct the rain to a parched meadow, nurturing plants and creatures alike. Wind currents, guided subtly by his light, carried seeds and scents across the land. Each action reinforced the idea that leadership and influence were most powerful when applied thoughtfully and harmoniously. As day turned to evening, Zeus rested beneath a sky painted in muted shades of gold and violet. The storm he had guided dissipated gently, leaving behind a refreshed valley, glistening streams, and the faint scent of rain-soaked earth. His spark pulsed softly, echoing the calm satisfaction that filled him. The storm had unfolded naturally, yet his subtle guidance had shaped it into a gentle, life-giving force. In this quiet success, he recognized the profound potential of his hidden powers. Through these experiences, Zeus understood a new principle. Influence is most enduring when it nurtures rather than imposes. The world responded to his guidance not with fear, but with cooperation, movement, and harmony. The spark within him was no longer merely a flicker. It had become a conduit for alignment, patience, and gentle leadership. By observing, sensing, and guiding, he could shape the natural rhythms of the world in ways that supported life without disruption. Even the stars seemed to witness his quiet mastery. As night fell, their faint glow traced patterns across the sky, reflecting the delicate balance between light, water, and air that Zeus had helped cultivate. The rivers mirrored the constellations above, the wind whispered softly through trees, and the hills rested in calm contentment. In the hush of the evening, he understood that his role was not to dominate the forces of nature, but to harmonize with them, guiding them softly with intention, patience, and care. And so, the first whispering storms revealed the gentle strength of Zeus's spark. Not a force of destruction or fury, but a subtle, nurturing power capable of shaping the world thoughtfully and peacefully. In the quiet interaction of clouds, wind, and rain, he discovered the deeper essence of leadership, influence, and harmony, a lesson that would guide him in the days, seasons, and centuries to come. With his spark now capable of guiding gentle storms, Zeus began to notice how closely the elements intertwined with life itself. The rivers carried water to hidden meadows, the soft rain nourished forests, and even the quiet gusts of wind helped seeds drift to fertile soil. Every movement of nature was connected, a delicate web of cause and effect that responded to subtle guidance. Zeus realized that his spark could serve not only to harmonize the elements, but also to nurture life in all its forms. He wandered through a quiet valley where flowers leaned toward the sunlight, and small animals moved cautiously through soft undergrowth. The streams glimmered under the faint glow of his spark, rippling in harmony with the gentle breeze. Zeus extended his light toward a cluster of young trees, and they seemed to straighten and grow more resilient, bending naturally without strain. Nearby, a river shifted its course slightly, carrying nourishment to plants that had awaited the gentle touch of water. The minor spirits observed these quiet acts with fascination. Nymphs drifted near the streams, their attention drawn to the way life responded to Zeus's spark. Leaves swayed softly, petals turned toward the illumination, and the small creatures of the forest moved with confidence, sensing the unseen guidance that shaped the land. Zeus felt a quiet satisfaction. Influence, he realized, could be expressed not through force or command, but through care, observation, and gentle intervention. He experimented further, guiding the spark along the edges of streams, brushing it across the tips of grasses, and weaving it through drifting clouds. Each act encouraged subtle growth, illuminating hidden nooks where plants thrived and animals found safe passage. Even the wind seemed to follow the rhythm of his spark, carrying scents and warmth across valleys and hills. The natural world responded in harmony, and Zeus felt a deepening understanding of the responsibility his powers carried. Occasionally, Zeus observed small challenges in the environment: a fallen branch blocking a stream, a cloud lingering too long over a sunlit meadow, or a gust of wind scattering seeds unevenly. In each case, he applied his spark delicately, nudging the elements toward balance. Nothing was forced. Nothing was rushed. Yet, with each careful gesture, life flourished more freely, moving in harmony with both the natural currents and Zeus's quiet guidance. Through these experiences, Zeus began to understand the rhythm of cause and effect. Every small act of guidance rippled outward, touching the world in ways that were sometimes immediate and sometimes delayed. A single drop of rain might nurture a hidden plant that would later provide shelter for an animal. A soft nudge of wind might carry pollen to a distant flower, encouraging its bloom. The interconnectedness of all things became clearer with each passing day, and Zeus's spark became a tool for enhancing that balance. Evenings remained a time for reflection. Zeus would rest beneath the starlit sky, tracing the constellations and sensing the movements of the elements below. Streams shimmered under his spark, clouds drifted with gentle purpose, and the forest seemed to breathe in quiet acknowledgement of his guidance. He realized that leadership, even among the divine, required patience, attentiveness, and respect for the natural flow of life. Influence was most meaningful when applied thoughtfully, without imposing upon the world. The Olympians, observing from their clouded perches in sunlit valleys, began to follow Zeus's subtle cues more attentively. A small adjustment in a wind, a gentle illumination of light, or a soft nudge in a river's course allowed their own movements to harmonize with his guidance. Together, they created a quiet orchestration of elements and life, a symphony of cooperation that moved gently across valleys, hills, and forests. In this delicate balance, Zeus felt a profound sense of purpose. His spark, once a small flicker of curiosity, had grown into a tool for nurturing life and harmonizing the elements. His influence was subtle yet meaningful, gentle yet far-reaching. He understood that his role as a leader was not to dominate, but to guide, to protect, and to cultivate balance in every corner of the world. And so, in the hush of meadows, beside glimmering streams, and beneath softly drifting clouds, Zeus embraced the quiet power of nurturing. He shaped the currents of nature, encouraged life to flourish, and discovered the profound truth that the gentlest touch, when applied with awareness and care, could bring harmony to the world in ways that strength alone never could. As Zeus's understanding of the elements and life deepened, he began to sense movements beyond the mountains, rivers, and forests he had guided. In the quiet corners of the earth, he felt faint pulses, soft, fragile, and full of potential. These were the first stirrings of mortals, beings whose lives were short compared to the slow rhythms of gods and titans, yet vibrant with curiosity, emotion, and creativity. Zeus approached their presence gently, observing without imposing. From distant hills and hidden valleys, he felt them planting seeds, tending flocks, and building small shelters. Their actions were tentative, their influence on the land subtle, yet they contributed to the intricate web of life that surrounded him. Streams carried their water, winds shifted to cool their paths, and sunlight kissed their fields. Zeus's spark responded naturally, pulsing softly in recognition of these tiny lives and their quiet resilience. The minor spirits continued to accompany him, curious about these new beings. Nymphs hovered near villages, following the paths of tiny streams that fed cultivated fields. Forest spirits drifted alongside small animals that lived near mortal settlements. Zeus noticed that mortals did not sense him directly, yet his influence reached them gently, guiding their efforts without overwhelming them. The spark of lightning, still delicate, illuminated their work in subtle ways, casting warmth and light upon their endeavors. Through careful observation, Zeus began to understand the rhythm of mortal life. Their days were short and full of activity. They worked and rested, laughed and slept, struggled and thrived, all within the gentle cycles of the sun and seasons. By aligning his spark with these rhythms, Zeus could enhance their lives without interfering. A soft glow might help a child find their way through a forest path. A subtle nudge could encourage rain to fall on a parched field, allowing crops to grow. Even the gentlest guidance, he realized, could carry profound consequences when applied thoughtfully. Zeus also noticed that mortals were deeply connected to each other. Their actions affected one another in small, meaningful ways. The gift of food shared with a neighbor, a kind word encouraging another's effort, a gentle hand helping someone climb a hill. Their lives intertwined like threads in a delicate tapestry, and Zeus began to see that guiding them required both observation and patience. His spark, subtle and responsive, became a bridge between the natural world and these fledgling lives. Occasionally, he saw moments of challenge, fields struggling under drought, streams running too fast for crops, winds scattering seeds too far. In these cases, Zeus intervened with care. He guided rain to soften the soil, adjusted clouds to shade tender plants, and nudged the wind to carry seeds gently to fertile ground. Mortals were unaware of his hand, yet they felt the subtle blessings, the quiet balance that allowed their lives to flourish. Each action reinforced his understanding that true power is expressed through patience, awareness, and harmony rather than force. In the evenings, Zeus would rest beneath the stars, tracing their constellations and sensing the heartbeat of mortal life below. Villages glimmered faintly in valleys, and streams reflected the soft light of his spark. He realized that his guidance extended far beyond the mountains and forests he had known. It reached into the lives of beings whose curiosity, determination, and resilience added richness to the world. The mortal realm, he understood, was fragile yet full of potential, and it required careful, attentive stewardship. The Olympians, observing from clouds and high peaks, began to notice Zeus's subtle influence on the mortal world. They recognized his ability to coordinate elements, nurture life, and guide the spark of energy in ways that enhanced harmony rather than imposing force. This quiet leadership, exercised without dominance, inspired trust among them. They moved with him in soft cooperation, weaving wind, water, and light in support of life on Earth. Zeus, sensing the mortal world for the first time, felt a profound sense of responsibility and connection. His spark, gentle and luminous, was more than a tool. It was a channel through which he could maintain balance, nurture growth, and protect life. The lessons of the Titans, the minor spirits, and the Olympians converged. Leadership was quiet, influence was subtle, and the harmony of all things depended on patience, observation, and care. And so, beneath softly drifting clouds and under the calm glow of stars, Zeus embraced the mortal world. He moved quietly among their lives, guiding the currents of wind, water, and light, nurturing fields, forests, and streams, and discovering the profound truth that even the smallest gesture, applied thoughtfully, could resonate across the world, shaping it gently and meaningfully. Having sensed the presence of mortals, Zeus began to explore ways to support them gently, without interfering with their natural growth. He observed their daily routines, farmers tending fields, children playing along streams, and families sharing food beneath the soft sunlight. Each small action created ripples of energy in the world, and Zeus understood that his spark could enhance these currents, guiding them toward balance and cooperation. He wandered to a valley where a river curved through a cluster of villages. The water flowed steadily, yet small obstacles caused it to meander unpredictably, threatening to flood some fields while leaving others dry. Zeus extended his spark, letting its soft glow trace the river's course. The water shifted slowly and gently, distributing nourishment evenly across the land. Crops began to flourish, and the villagers moved through the fields with ease, unaware of the quiet guidance that made their work smoother. The minor spirits followed closely, their fascination growing as they watched Zeus interact with the mortal world. Nymphs hovered near streams and wells, reflecting the calm energy he applied. Forest spirits drifted among the trees, observing how his spark influenced the growth of plants and the movement of animals. Through these interactions, Zeus learned to sense even the smallest fluctuations in mortal life, understanding that balance could be maintained through attention, patience, and subtle intervention. Zeus also noticed the interplay between mortals themselves. Families worked together, children learned from elders, and neighbors shared the fruits of their labor. Yet, sometimes misunderstandings or missteps caused friction. In these moments, Zeus applied his spark carefully, not to dictate, but to encourage harmony. A gentle breeze might carry the sound of laughter across a field, easing tension. A soft glow on a pathway could guide travelers safely home, allowing them to arrive in a calm, cooperative spirit. His influence was subtle, yet meaningful, weaving the threads of human activity into a quiet tapestry of balance. He began to experiment with coordinating natural events to support communities. Clouds drifting overhead could be nudged to release gentle rain at the right moment, softening soil and nurturing crops. Rivers could be guided to flow steadily, providing water to plants and animals alike. Wind currents carried seeds and pollen to distant fields, encouraging growth and diversity. Through these small adjustments, Zeus helped mortals thrive without their knowing, teaching lessons of patience, cooperation, and the benefits of subtle guidance. Evenings were times of quiet reflection. Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the interconnectedness of all living things. Streams mirrored constellations above, leaves rustled in soft rhythms, and the gentle pulse of his spark echoed the flow of mortal life below. The Olympians, watching from high peaks and clouds, began to follow his example. learning how subtle coordination could amplify the beauty and balance of the world. Together, they reinforced the lessons that Zeus had discovered. Influence is most powerful when applied thoughtfully, and leadership is strongest when it nurtures rather than imposes. Over time, Zeus noticed small, natural celebrations of harmony among mortals. Children played freely, families shared food and laughter, and animals moved in peaceful patterns across the land. His spark guided these moments without drawing attention to itself, allowing life to unfold naturally. He understood that even unseen gestures, applied with awareness and care, could ripple outward, touching countless lives and enhancing the delicate balance of the world. The minor spirits and Olympians observed this with quiet admiration. They saw that Zeus's strength did not lie in loud displays or commanding presence, but in the steady, thoughtful application of his spark. Harmony, patience, and cooperation were the tools he used to shape life gently, teaching the world how subtle guidance could create profound results. And so, in the hush of valleys, under drifting clouds and the soft glow of morning and evening skies, Zeus continued to nurture mortal communities. His spark illuminated pathways, guided streams, encouraged growth, and fostered cooperation, all without disturbance or force. Through these quiet acts, he discovered that true power and leadership are expressed through understanding, care, and the gentle orchestration of life's natural rhythms, a lesson that would echo across the ages. As Zeus guided the elements and nurtured mortal life, he began to notice faint currents of something new, delicate threads that seemed to stretch beyond the immediate rhythms of rivers, wind, and rain. These were whispers of destiny, subtle indications of paths that life might take, choices that mortals might make, and the unfolding potential of the world itself. He observed a young child planting seeds in a sunlit field, unaware that the tiny gestures of care would influence the growth of the land and the life that would surround it. The spark within Zeus pulsed gently in recognition of this potential. It was not a force to control the child's actions, but a light to illuminate possibilities, guiding life softly without removing the freedom of choice. The minor spirits flitted nearby, sensing the new currents. Nymphs hovered over streams and wells, their attention drawn to the unfolding destinies of plants, animals, and mortals alike. Forest spirits drifted quietly among the trees, observing how each small act of care or attention rippled across the world. Zeus understood that these whispers of destiny were delicate, requiring patience and subtle guidance rather than force. He began to experiment, using his spark to enhance possibilities gently. A soft glow along a path could encourage a traveler to take the safest route, or a faint illumination of a young tree might guide it to grow toward the sunlight. Every action was careful, deliberate, and mindful of the natural course of events. Destiny, he realized, was not rigid. It flowed like the rivers and wind he had learned to guide, shaped subtly by the careful application of insight and energy. Zeus also observed patterns in mortal life, noticing how cooperation, kindness, and small acts of care influenced outcomes. A shared meal might strengthen bonds between families, a gentle word could encourage learning, and a patient gesture could help resolve misunderstandings. By aligning his spark with these natural flows, he nurtured not only the physical world but the emotional and social currents that connected mortals. His influence was unseen yet profound, guiding life toward harmony and opportunity. Even the Olympians began to notice these faint threads of destiny. From their clouded perches, they observed Zeus's spark illuminating paths and fostering cooperation. They began to mimic his subtle coordination, learning that leadership could be exercised through guidance, inspiration, and quiet influence rather than command. Together, they began to weave the threads of life, destiny, and natural flow into a harmonious tapestry that spanned mountains, valleys, forests, and rivers. In the quiet evenings, Zeus rested beneath the stars, feeling the pulse of destiny flowing through the world. Streams shimmered under his spark, clouds drifted in gentle arcs, and the faint murmur of life moved with a rhythm that he could sense and nurture. He realized that his power was not about dictating fate, but about illuminating possibilities and helping life find its natural path. Influence, he understood, was most effective when subtle, respectful, and attuned to the rhythms of the world. Through these quiet explorations, Zeus discovered that the spark within him was not only a tool for guiding the elements or nurturing life, it was a light that could reveal potential, encourage growth, and support the unfolding of destiny itself. He felt a deep sense of purpose, knowing that his gentle interventions could help shape the world's future in ways that were harmonious, balanced, and full of quiet promise. And so, under drifting clouds, beside glimmering streams, and beneath the soft glow of stars, Zeus embraced the whispers of destiny. His spark moved carefully and thoughtfully, illuminating possibilities, guiding paths, and nurturing the natural unfolding of life. In this delicate, patient guidance, he discovered the profound truth that leadership and influence, when applied with care and awareness, could help shape the world gently and meaningfully without imposing upon it. As Zeus guided life and destiny, he began to notice moments of curiosity and creativity among mortals. Small hands shaping tools from stones, careful eyes observing the flight of birds, and gentle minds noticing patterns in the stars. All these tiny acts of discovery carried the seeds of progress. Zeus watched quietly, his spark pulsing softly, understanding that these moments, though subtle, held the potential to shape the future. He wandered through a sunlit valley where a small group of mortals gathered near a stream. They tried to fashion simple tools from wood and stone, their efforts clumsy but earnest. Zeus extended his spark, weaving it gently around their movements. It did not move the hands or change the tools. Instead, it illuminated the faint possibilities within their actions, helping their eyes notice details they might otherwise have missed. A stick could serve as a lever, a smooth stone as a cutting edge. The spark encouraged observation, patience, and thoughtful experimentation. The minor spirits floated nearby, intrigued by this quiet encouragement of innovation. Nymphs lingered near the fields, observing how mortals used their tools to cultivate crops and shape their environment. Forest spirits drifted among trees, witnessing the careful construction of shelters and simple machines. Through this delicate guidance, Zeus realized that progress was not about force or haste. It emerged from attention, curiosity, and the nurturing of small, patient efforts. Zeus also observed the ripple effects of these discoveries. A sharpened stone allowed a family to prepare food more efficiently. A simple lever lifted heavy objects, easing labor and creating space for more creativity. Even small improvements in daily life strengthen bonds among communities, encouraging cooperation and shared learning. The spark within Zeus moved in harmony with these moments, illuminating possibilities and nurturing the gentle unfolding of knowledge. In the evenings, he reflected beneath the stars, sensing the faint trails of ideas moving through the mortal world. Each spark of creativity seemed to ripple outward, touching streams, forests, and valleys. Rivers reflected the faint glow of potential, clouds drifted in gentle arcs above, and animals moved with quiet confidence through the balanced landscape. Zeus understood that nurturing these first sparks of innovation required patience and subtle guidance, not interference or control. The Olympians, observing from high above, began to recognize the growing importance of these mortal innovations. They saw how Zeus's spark encouraged curiosity, patience, and experimentation, fostering collaboration and enhancing harmony. This quiet influence taught them that leadership involves supporting growth, encouraging exploration, and creating space for life to flourish, rather than commanding or dictating outcomes. Zeus continued to weave his spark into the patterns of mortal life, illuminating possibilities without imposing his will. A child might notice a more effective way to carry water, a farmer might adjust planting patterns, or a craftsman might discover a small improvement in constructing shelter. Each tiny act of insight became part of a larger tapestry, guided by the subtle, patient light of Zeus's spark. And so, beneath drifting clouds, alongside glimmering rivers, and under the soft glow of stars, Zeus nurtured the first sparks of mortal innovation. His influence was quiet, invisible, and gentle, yet it shaped the growth of knowledge, cooperation, and discovery across the land. Through these calm interventions, he discovered that the most meaningful guidance often came not through force or command, but through patient illumination, gentle encouragement, and the quiet fostering of curiosity, a principle that would continue to define his leadership and influence for ages to come. With the first sparks of innovation guiding mortal life, Zeus began to notice the delicate balance between humans and the natural world. Streams flowed through valleys where crops were planted, winds carried seeds across meadows, and forests provided shelter and resources. Every action of mortals had a ripple effect on the environment, and Zeus understood that his spark could help weave these interactions into a gentle harmony. He wandered through a quiet meadow, where children played near a river and farmers tended their fields. The water moved steadily, reflecting sunlight, yet subtle adjustments were needed to ensure that crops, streams, and animals coexisted peacefully. Zeus extended his spark, not to control, but to encourage alignment. A gentle push nudged water toward thirsty plants, while a soft glow highlighted safe pathways for children and animals alike. Everything moved in balance, the rhythm of life flowing naturally under his quiet guidance. The minor spirits accompanied him, observing the interactions of mortals and nature. Nymphs drifted near streams, forest spirits moved among trees, and leaves swirled gently in the wind. They witnessed the careful orchestration of life, understanding that even small interventions could create harmony without force. Zeus's spark wove through these elements like a thread of light, connecting actions and consequences, fostering cooperation between humans and the world around them. Zeus also noticed the subtleties of timing. If rain fell too early or too late, crops could suffer. If wind blew too strongly, seeds might scatter poorly. If sunlight was blocked by lingering clouds, growth slowed. By observing patiently and applying his spark delicately, Zeus guided these natural forces to support life thoughtfully. Mortals continued their work, unaware of the divine assistance that encouraged balance, yet the results spoke of harmony and well-being across valleys and hills. Even the Olympians observed and learned from these quiet acts. Clouds, wind, and light responded more smoothly to their subtle movements when guided by Zeus's spark. Together, they enhanced the flow of life, creating gentle, coordinated patterns across land, river, and sky. This calm collaboration strengthened the understanding that leadership and guidance were most effective when applied thoughtfully and harmoniously, without disturbance or force. Zeus took pleasure in the way mortals learned to work with nature naturally, discovering that cooperation and awareness were as important as innovation. Fields flourished, rivers glimmered, and forests thrived, all moving in rhythm with the gentle guidance of his spark. Even animals responded to this balance, moving safely through the landscapes, drinking from refreshed streams, and contributing to the cycles of life. In the evenings, Zeus rested beneath the stars, sensing the gentle pulse of life that flowed through valleys, hills, and rivers. Streams mirrored constellations, leaves whispered in the wind, and mortals slept peacefully in the glow of moonlight. His spark pulsed softly in acknowledgment of the harmony that had been nurtured, a quiet, steady light that connected all living things and reminded him that guidance is most profound when subtle, attentive, and patient. Through these gentle interventions, Zeus realized a profound truth. The health and flourishing of the world depended on thoughtful coordination, nurturing leadership, and awareness of the delicate balance between mortals and nature. His spark, small yet luminous, could influence life in countless ways without force, guiding humans, elements, and spirits alike to move in harmony. And so, under drifting clouds and the soft glow of the moon, Zeus continued to cultivate balance between mortals and the natural world. His spark moved quietly, weaving rivers, winds, forests, and human activity into a gentle rhythm of cooperation and harmony. In this calm orchestration, he discovered that true leadership is not measured by power alone, but by the ability to foster understanding, balance, and the quiet flourishing of life itself. As Zeus guided mortals and nature in harmony, he began to notice a subtle rhythm in the world, patterns of change that hinted at cycles yet to be named. Leaves began to fall and grow again, rivers swelled and receded, and winds shifted with a gentle regularity. These were the first signs of the seasons, a quiet ebb and flow that shaped life in delicate, predictable ways. Zeus felt a new sense of purpose, to help these rhythms unfold naturally, so that mortals and the world around them could thrive in balance. He wandered through a valley where trees stretched their branches toward the sky, their leaves glowing in the soft sunlight. The wind whispered through them, carrying seeds and pollen across the meadow. Zeus extended his spark, letting its gentle light trace the subtle currents of air and water. The patterns were slow, measured, and graceful. A leaf that had begun to fall floated to the ground in a soft arc, landing carefully where it could nourish the soil. Streams adjusted their pace, reflecting the light and supporting the delicate cycles of growth. The minor spirits followed closely, marveling at the unfolding rhythm. Nymphs drifted beside meadows and rivers, observing how life adjusted with the changing conditions. Forest spirits swirled through the trees, noting the careful timing of growth, rest, and renewal. Zeus realized that the seasons were not rigid. They were a dance of balance, guided by small, patient adjustments, and his spark could help them flow in harmony with life. He experimented with guiding these cycles subtly. When early frost threatened tender shoots, a gentle nudge of his spark could shield them or delay the chill. When rivers ran low in the warmth of summer, light currents of water could be redirected to support both plants and animals. Winds carried seeds and scents in precise arcs, encouraging renewal across hills and valleys. Every movement was deliberate, patient, and aligned with the natural tendencies of the world. Even mortals began to feel the patterns, though they did not understand the divine touch behind them. Farmers noticed when rain arrived just in time, or when rivers flowed steadily without flooding. Children felt the change of seasons as leaves shifted and the air cooled or warmed. Animals adapted to the cycles instinctively. All of this happened quietly, guided by Zeus's spark, without fanfare or force, so that life could move in harmony with the rhythms of the earth. The Olympians, observing from clouds and peaks, began to learn the importance of timing and subtlety. Zeus's quiet guidance showed them that even the smallest intervention could maintain balance across vast regions. Leadership, he demonstrated, was as much about patience and observation as it was about action. The seasons became a classroom, teaching gods and mortals alike the value of gentle coordination, trust in natural rhythms, and the careful orchestration of energy. As night fell, Zeus rested beneath the stars, tracing their patterns and sensing the flow of the seasons through the land. Streams reflected the moonlight, leaves rustled with a soft cadence, and animals settled into the rhythms that he had helped shape. His spark pulsed gently, a quiet companion to the cycles of life, illuminating the beauty of balance without disturbing it. Through this delicate work, Zeus discovered a deeper truth. The world flourished not through abrupt change or forceful guidance, but through patient nurturing, careful observation, and subtle influence. The spark within him, once a small flicker of curiosity, had grown into a tool for shaping time, growth, and renewal in ways that honored both mortals and nature. And so, under the soft glow of the sun and moon, through gentle breezes and flowing streams, Zeus continued to guide the first seasons. His spark wove through rivers, forests, winds, and meadows, ensuring that life unfolded in harmony, growth occurred naturally, and mortals and nature moved together in a rhythm that was both gentle and enduring. In this calm orchestration, Zeus discovered the quiet strength of patience, the beauty of subtle influence, and the profound impact of nurturing the cycles of life itself. As Zeus continued to nurture life and the rhythms of the world, he became aware of another gentle connection, one that stretched far beyond the rivers, forests, and meadows he had guided. The stars above, faint and distant, shone with a soft constancy that mirrored the cycles of mortals and nature below. He realized that they, too, could be a source of quiet guidance, illuminating paths, inspiring wonder, and fostering understanding among mortals. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills and the first stars began to appear, Zeus extended his spark upward. It pulsed softly, brushing against the constellations with gentle light. He did not rearrange the stars or impose upon their natural positions. Instead, he enhanced their subtle patterns, making their connections more noticeable to those who gazed upward. A shepherd might notice the alignment of stars and guide their flock more safely. A traveler might find reassurance in the glow above, taking the safest path home. The minor spirits observed this celestial orchestration with fascination. Nymphs drifted near streams, noticing the reflections of stars in the water. Forest spirits paused among the trees, their attention drawn to the soft shimmer that touched the leaves. Even the Olympians, from their high perches, seemed to sense the quiet interaction between the stars and the world below. Zeus's spark, though invisible to mortals, created a subtle guidance that rippled gently across the land. Zeus experimented with light and timing, learning how stars could mirror the rhythms of the seasons and the cycles of mortal life. When a new season approached, he adjusted the faint glow of the heavens so that its patterns echoed the changes below. Streams reflected the constellations more clearly, animals and humans alike felt subtle guidance in their daily rhythms, and the world seemed to breathe in quiet alignment with the cosmos. Through this gentle influence, mortals began to sense patterns in the sky, though they did not know the source. Children pointed to shapes in the stars, elders guided travelers using the constellations, and farmers noticed changes in the heavens that corresponded with the cycles of planting and harvest. The stars became a silent teacher, encouraging observation, patience, and understanding of the world's rhythms. Even the Olympians learned from Zeus's approach. They observed how subtle illumination could provide guidance, spark curiosity, and nurture respect for the natural world without intervention or control. This reinforced an essential lesson. Leadership and influence are most profound when applied with patience, awareness, and care. Guidance need not be forceful to be effective. It can be gentle, invisible, and profoundly meaningful. Zeus also felt a personal connection to the stars. They were distant yet constant, a reminder of both patience and presence. Just as he guided rivers, wind, seasons, and mortals, the stars reminded him that even the smallest spark of influence could travel far and endure over time. His spark pulsed in harmony with the light above, a quiet reflection of his understanding and care. As night deepened, Zeus rested beneath the heavens, sensing the gentle interplay between stars and life below. Rivers shimmer with starlight, leaves rustled in soft rhythms, and mortals moved quietly, guided by the subtle patterns above. His spark illuminated possibilities, nurtured growth, and encouraged harmony between the earth and the heavens. Through these calm interactions, Zeus discovered the beauty of connecting the world below with the sky above. Mortals learned to observe, reflect, and wonder, while nature continued to flourish in its quiet rhythm. The spark within him had grown from curiosity into a gentle force of guidance, illuminating paths, nurturing life, and fostering harmony between earth and sky. And so, beneath the soft glow of stars, overflowing rivers, and through whispering winds, Zeus continued to weave his influence. His spark guided mortals subtly, aligned nature with the heavens, and encouraged understanding and curiosity without disturbance. In this serene orchestration, he realized that the quiet guidance of light, patience, and care could shape the world as profoundly as any thunder, leaving a lasting impact through harmony, balance, and gentle illumination.